with these kinds of issues, we've had opportunities opened up for new pathways, for competence development, as well as divergences in engineering professionals. I'll give you an example. From the traditional civil engineering, for example, we have new specializations that have come up and evolved over time to match growing innovations as well as pressing societal challenges. And at our department, currently we have at master's level options in environmental engineering, water resources. We also have geotechnical, structural engineering, highways and transportation engineering at graduate level. So you find that with these collaborations, then you're in a position to say, okay, as part of this project that we are running with this and this institution, there's a problem, let's say, in the highways that needs to be handled. So we need to get graduate students in that area to do their dissertations, you know, and in the process, the students get exposed to some of these innovations, but also have their minds opened up and not really tagged to only technical aspects, but also other non-technical aspects that are useful for problem solving. Now, when it comes to problem solving, this is something we are doing right from undergraduate in the recent past. Because when you look at the nature of the problems we have, they are dynamic. They're kind of dynamic in nature, given the changing society. The problems that were existing 20 years ago may not necessarily be the same problems that we have currently. So the engineers need to appreciate and understand why these problems are arising in the societies and how can they provide or work with others to provide solutions. I must confess that gone are the days where we thought that we could solve problems solely as engineers. In the recent past, we've seen that problems take on a multidisciplinarity nature of the different members that are on the team. So the realization that the engineers need to work in multidisciplinary teams is something that we're actually emphasizing. And this approach more or less is at an intersection of the sciences, the humanities, and the arts as well, right? And an example, we had a project where we're trying to encourage problem-based learning, but the problem was such that it did not require only engineering students. We had to take on students from other schools like School of Architecture and Urban Planning. We also had to take students from the arts, that is in Margaret Trowell School of Industrial Fine Arts. But then also the team involved graduate students from a Western university out there. And this helped a lot for the international exposure, but also for the students to appreciate that they need to work in teams. They need to have requisite communication skills to be able to communicate effectively. And they also need to grow their critical thinking capacity so that they are able to come up with solutions that are more or less feasible and not you know, out of the norm. And in a way, this has helped to build competences for the students to be able to work across the boundaries. And I think that has driven us most is more or less by Confucius, who said that, tell me and I will forget, show me and I will remember, involve me and I will understand. So where we have opportunities to undertake these kinds of projects, and they call for students both at undergraduate and graduate, we've tried as much as possible to have them on as researchers, so that we also have their skills built, not only the technical, but the non-technical as well. Then another thing that we have done is through curriculum reviews. We regularly have to review the curriculum, and the period, as far as I'm concerned, is every 5 years. Unfortunately, though, we've not managed to beat this deadline in time, because among the challenges, there are delays in reaccreditation of these programs. The process is quite a lengthy one, and you will find that, I'll give an example. In the recent past, we've had our Bachelor of Science and Masters of Science in Civil Engineering, re-accredited by the National Council of Higher Education. We submitted this in 2021, but we only received the letter last month that has re-accredited it. So at times you find that when the review has come back, then there are some new things that have come up that you would really have loved to be part of that new curriculum, but now they are going to have to wait for the next review. Then also another challenge with these curriculum reviews is the desire to actually have these growing innovations in the West world incorporated in our own programs. And this calls for resources where we need state-of-the-art equipment, we need licensed softwares for teaching and design, but we also need spaces for co-creation, what we call research hubs, and also funding, especially for graduate and masters, the masters and PhD students. The funding here is very, very costly, and we are looking at Makerere becoming a research-led institution, and we see that if we have graduate students who are well supported and facilitated, then this could contribute to that strategic goal. So amongst the challenges with this is the inadequate resources. Of course, there is an opportunity to lobby government, but again, you realize that on the other hand, government is like, we don't have funding. So that also calls for creativity and innovation. Now, where else can we look? What else can we do to make sure that we bring in the requisite resources to drive us towards being, a research-led institution, but also one where we can also match with the growing innovations in the Western universities, and therefore end up having engineers that can more or less compete on the international labor market. And as I wind up, I must say, though, that we've had our engineers actually working all over the world, internationally, not only in public entities or private, but we've also had them working on an international scene, and we have them all over the world. And we are kind of confident that when we have these kinds of improvements, we'll even have more being competitive out there. Okay. Thank you, both. Over to you.
Thank you. I think we noted that there is a lot being done, and we can be comfortable that yes, people can go and compete outside. Then I'll come on to Engineer Annette. I hope you're online. Yes, we know there is no doubt. We believe that the digital innovations and technologies, the Internet of Things, is particularly changing the way we are living, the way we work, the way we learn, the way we socialize. Right now we are online, and we know that brands are now becoming more loud and telling us that we have now become more familiar with terms like online trust and security, content moderation, most of the things. And you notice that even sometimes an innovation like Zoom like this, you find people intruding within the meetings. So maybe kindly just highlight for us, do you think digitalization is an opportunity or a challenge to the innovation ecosystem? What do you think?
Thank you both. Thank you both for the opportunity. I'm really honored and humbled to be part of this discussion. What both has pointed out points mostly to the threats and the risks associated with when she talks of safe online trust and safety, content moderation. Basically, those two, they focus on how to reduce on the risks and the threats and harm that comes with digital innovations and using digital platforms. But yes, there are threats, there are risks. But there is no doubt that what the internet can do is enormous. The digital world is a wonderful place for learning, like we are doing now, and we've been learning online. So it's a wonderful place for learning, working, socializing, and entertainment. The innovations and technologies and the processes, such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, machine learning, They are inspiring new ways of delivering services in the demand sectors, which include utility companies, construction industry, transport, and many others. So there are so many opportunities. Yes, it is also a home to certain risks and threats. Therefore, it is time we appreciate the potential risks and significant harm technologies can lead to for businesses, society, and then come up with policies and strategies to protect the users. So as the digital world continues to constantly evolve, new applications coming up, new features coming up, new technologies, tech tools, also new risks arise. Why? Because the cyber criminals are constantly looking for ways of taking advantage to the digital users. They are looking for ways on how to take advantage of insecure networks. So that's why we need to think of how we can be safe while we use this technology by building a safe digital world, which we must appreciate that we need to find a way of minimizing on these threats and these risks. But also, as she posed the last question, that is digitalization an opportunity or a challenge to the innovation ecosystem? What I can say is, in fact, digitalization is providing enormous opportunities, just like I have highlighted. It is addressing big challenges facing demand sectors, and therefore it should not only be perceived as a threat, but as a threat to the innovation ecosystem, but it should be looked at as an enabler for driving transformation towards sustainable demand sectors. For example, digitalization has done a lot of things on how businesses are done. Softwares are coming up, which are used in the construction industry, in the fleet management, teleconferencing systems like we are doing now. So many things are happening. And when we talk of as an opportunity, there are so many companies or demand sectors which are already benefiting from this. For example, I'll give an example in the energy sector where I used to work. We all know that digitalization, because of digitalization, Yaka meter came up. And therefore, people now are able to manage their electricity consumption, those who are on Yaka. They are able to monitor how they use it. And also, it makes things easier. There is a digitalization helps to optimize processes, enhance flexibility, and improve efficiency. Because now you can be in your house with the aid of mobile money platform. You buy your units, load your meter, you can pay for the TV, you can do anything without even going outside your home. You are able to do, a lot with digitalization. So digitalization should not be seen as a threat, I would say, because there are many opportunities that are coming up due to digitalization. However, there are also threats that are coming up. We know it, and it doesn't come without side effects. Like we have said, there are threats, so there are side effects which need to be handled. And so, as our theme talks about building a safe digital world, to me, a safe digital world is a responsibility of everybody. It's not for one person, because we need a safe digital world. We need to be able to safeguard ourselves from predators as we connect in the digital age. And we cannot do without digitalization. It's a necessary evil, because we need it to do business. We need it for community development, like we've said. So many innovations are coming up in the community, but as digitalization is an enabler. So let's not look at it as a threat, but there are strategies as we go along we shall share to make sure that we build a safe digital world. I don't know if I still have time and share on some of the strategies we can use to create
yes,
the world.
Annette, you have actually hit on my next, because as you're saying, the question was coming in my head that, hey, how can we ensure an open and safe digital world while managing the potential negative impacts it can have on our societies? Whether those negative impacts, like we have children now accessing, you give a child a phone and is opening a room, a very different pornographic item instead of. So how do you think we can ensure the safety of the community, of this digital world?
Our dear listener, you're still having an interesting online conference about women in engineering, and we're looking at our topic, engineering, innovation, and service delivery. Let me go back to the conference.
Okay, thank you both. I think one way to ensure a safe digital world, or to build a safe digital world that is actually resilient to the threats or the side effects of digitalization, is digital education and awareness. We need to support the digital consumers. We need to create awareness. We need to give people the skills, the information they need, so that they are able to make informed choices, know where to go for assistance, advice, so that they are able to safely use these platforms. Because we've had so many cases, they say someone's money got lost in the bank. They say it is, the bank says no, not us. They say it was by mobile money. The mobile money service provider or whatever, the service provider for whatever network says no, it's not us. The consumer is left confused, doesn't know what to do. I have had I've seen many innovations, like you can receive messages on your phone. Some people have, you just get messages, you open them, and your phone blacks out or blocks. You don't know what to do, because now when you go to the service provider, they will tell you it's you who opened. But are we doing enough to sensitize our people, create awareness about these threats and where people can get help from, as the maybe service providers or the innovators who are coming up with these innovations? I think that it's the responsibility lies on us to ensure that our consumers are protected. They are not exploited. They are not given wrong messages that can cause problems. That's one. We need to do responsible business conduct, dealing with people honestly and fairly. Sometimes I think some of these companies are not fair in the way they are doing business. You can call someone in the village there, and he has a ringback tone. They call them ringback tones. You find, when you ask the person, what tone do you have on your phone? The person is like, what are you talking about? I don't know those things. But the person is being charged 500 or whatever for that ringback tone. So I think there should be responsible business conduct, how we do business, so that we are able to address the challenges that are being faced by the digital consumers. Then we also need to encourage deeper collaboration and cooperation. Recognize that we all have responsibilities to help build a safe digital world. So it should not be left out to the service providers only, but even the regulators, the policymakers should really come up with their strong measures to help people to build a safe digital world, for people to be safe in this digital world. Be able to, like you talked of an example of children. Okay, we've seen a lot happening. Children get exposure to certain things on TV, on internet, and probably because the digitalization came, and it is now like it's fashion for everyone to have a phone. And also even schools demand that children have those phones. But you find that there isn't okay, I can say for children, it's a responsibility of parents, but also us, the people in the care of the children. What are we doing about it? If you ask children to have phones at school, you have internet, it is free, but then have you done enough to give children information on internet? It all comes back to education and awareness. We need to train our children how to use these gadgets, how to analyze the information and pick what is relevant and what is useful, which is also not easy, because I've seen people can even share without thinking, without being sensitive, and you find children are getting exposure to wrong information, things which are way too much for their brain, and then you find the children are getting other children are being bullied on phones. We've given them phones, we don't know cyberbullying is there. We know cyberbullying is there, but children are being abused on the phones. A lot of things are going wrong. But I think it all comes back to responsible use and also awareness and education. When schools demand that children should have phones, smartphones and let them take them through, encourage them on how to use them. And maybe I also ask these people who, I can say, the makers of the softwares or the innovators, if they could come up with innovations that are community driven. What do we need in our community today to build a safe digital world? How do we protect our children from cyberbullying, from cyber whatever, those criminals? How do we protect them? I also want to say, to go back to the service providers, that they should also, maybe there should be privacy our information should be protected. Because you find someone sending you a message, you don't know how did these people get all this information. Is there no better way we can do business and say maybe there is privacy? So I also keep asking myself, I think there is a lot to be done in regard to that. But I also think that we need to respect the privacy of other people for us to be able to build a safe digital world. But we also need consensus among stakeholders. To advance digital safety, we need positive behaviors across the digital ecosystem. We need to act responsibly so that we are sensitive to other users and other people in the ecosystem, and we don't do things that compromise with the other people's values and cause harm. So we also must follow the internet safety rules, practice safe browsing. Don't just go to a site you are not sure of. I've seen people forwarding messages like 500 GBs. You need to practice safe browsing. Keep your antivirus programs. Be careful what you post. Let's be sensitive. Let's not just post things. Back up regularly. Use strong passwords and be alert online. Because a lot of things are happening, and therefore you must be alert. You must know what is happening. Don't allow technology to leave you behind. Okay. Because if you allow technology to leave you behind, then you will be abused when you don't know even you are being abused, or you'll find yourself, not using your gadgets effectively and efficiently, because when you are receiving messages and you just go to sites where, remember, you are using data and that's money. You are not being economical and you are being extravagant. So we need to support stakeholders for us to be able to build consensus and be able for future digitalization to be critical.
Okay, thank you, Annette.
Sorry, I've taken much of your time.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you very much, Annette, for at least sensitizing us. We note that we need consensus, we need awareness creating, we need to also train the people on how to use some of these digital platforms. I think it goes back mostly to the users and as well as the innovators of these systems. and to all of us. I think each one poses a responsibility. Maybe I get back to Bertha. Maybe you told us about innovations which are upcoming, how they're being implemented, but you did. Maybe you can kindly, what I can say is that you can kindly highlight for us, how do you think we can ensure that these innovations within the service delivery and organizations is implemented? What is their sustainability? How do we ensure that it's spread throughout all the communities down to the local parts? For me, normally when I talk about engineering, and innovations, I want to see how my grandmother in the village, how is this item going to impact my grandmother who is seated down there in the village? How do you think how can we ensure that these innovations reach those people who are in the hard to reach areas?
Thanks very much, Abo. I am looking for something I scribbled a few days ago that is very relevant to your question. So your question is threefold. How can we implement, sustain, and make sure it's getting to the end user at the bottom of the chain? So it's a loop, really. For me, it's a loop. It starts with education, and I'll explain every single aspect afterwards. It starts with education. When you go to the needs assessment or the demand assessment, we look at frugal innovations, regulations, then policies or incentives, and the end user shouldn't be on that loop, but should be everywhere throughout the design process. Now, I'll explain this loop briefly, since I think we are running out of time, and it would be nice to hear from the listeners if they have any questions for us. Education. Now, here I'm going to tread very carefully because I wouldn't want to clash with Dr. Robina. I like all the innovations that are happening that Dr. Robina has so well explained about the curriculum review that they're doing recently, linking students to different projects for them to get exposure. But the education sector should be looked at from, what's the technical word, from the ground up, from the primary level to the secondary level to, in institutions of higher learning. What we need to be looking at is moving away from training people to be employed, but to be innovators, for people to be problem solvers. Don't get me wrong, employment is really, it's good, but we shouldn't be training our students we should be training them more to be problem solvers, to be critical thinkers, to think outside the box. As Dr. Robin has so clearly stated, there is more to technical skills as well that we should be looking at, we should be equipping our innovators with. Soft skills such as communication skills, determining who your target market is, doing that market assessment, looking at your funders, what are they looking at, how can you pitch and get funded? Things like financial management. So you have this, brilliant project and perhaps you've got this funding. How do you utilize this funding correctly? Things like IP. Some of these are not being taught in some of our institutions. We had a conference last week and we had a gentleman from URSB that was speaking about IP. And he said that IP is granted on a first come, first serve basis. Yeah. So if we're not educating our people as to when to get the IP and how to get it, by the time they probably get there, somebody from China that is very well versed or better trained will easily access this. So education is very key and it should be looked at from, the ground up. All the innovations that Dr. Robina has stated are very amazing and I believe will cause a huge impact to our innovation and, industrial sector long term. And also, transferring Makere to a research-based institution will also go a long way in aiding, contributing towards innovation and manufacturing industrial development in our country. So education is very key for how do we implement and sustain innovations. Now, needs sustainable. We need to assess what our demand is. We need to do a needs assessment. In 2020 to 2022, if one was developing around COVID-19, they were guaranteed of support But right now, if all your innovation is focused on COVID-19, it may not be as strong as back then. So assessing the need is very key. In Uganda right now, our highest disease burden is non-communicable diseases. So anybody innovating around non-communicable diseases is not going to go out of fashion anytime soon. So put it that way. So we need to determine what is our demand. What is like our first topic was about purchasing power. What is our purchasing power? What is the context? And then innovate around your context and the demand that you're looking at. Frugal innovations. One thing that stands out among all the innovators that I have interacted with is they mention low cost. Why? Because that's what we need. We need to look at making it as affordable as possible, but also make it usable or effective in a way. So look at our problems and solve our problems, frugally so stating. The regulations. So once our innovators are designing all this, they need to have conducive regulations to support them. That is aside from financing, the other big challenge that all innovators, myself included, can clearly state is regulations. Usually we've not known which entity is regulating medical devices. There's NDA, Uganda National Council of Science and Technology. We have URSB, well, that one is more of a registration, so not clearly for this part. We have UNBS, and sometimes they're also not very clear. What Makere and a couple of other, the biomedical engineering units and a couple of other innovators are doing, they're bringing these different players on the same table to try and discuss how can you support us? How can we improve the regulations for us here? So that's another key area that we need to be looking at. Then policies. We need to create policies that enable uptake of our local innovations. We all remember Bubu, Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, and what it did for local house supplies. I think people got exposed more to what we have in Uganda, and right now in many kitchens and bathrooms, you will only find Ugandan-made products, even furniture in the house, apart from maybe electronics, which are still an upcoming innovation. So we need to, as the Ministry of Trade and all the partners, need to create policies that are protecting the local innovator. If something is locally available, perhaps how do we promote it? How do we create its uptake? We have so many international partners, NGOs, that procure products for us and perhaps donate them from global players. So if we have our local innovations, there's no harm in letting them know that, you know what, for these products that we have local producers, let's procure them from here. And the government as one, perhaps procuring from, these local innovators. That's also something that would go a long way in using this. Now, for the innovators, an end user is key. We should be involving them from the very beginning, from your needs assessment. Even when you're developing, the back and forth helps you refine your design to the needs of the population. With the needs of the population satisfied, I can almost guarantee that the technology will be sustained, or the product or the service will be sustained. The key thing that every perhaps business or inventor will tell you that has been successful is demand. Establish that there is demand or create demand. I don't know how you have to go about that. Then the other things that perhaps would support the implementation, as the products have shown earlier, were mainly in their clinical trials phase. How do we get them implemented? Things like funding. For so many countries, I'll give an example of South Africa. For these big funding opportunities, normally the funder will need the government to co-fund, maybe half and half. But in our setting, it's normally not possible, so you can't access some of that big funding. Technical support, workspaces that Dr. Robin again mentioned, co-creation environments, and continuous training of our students or innovators on what they need, and a global outlook to what's being done globally. With that, I believe we'll be able to implement, sustain our innovations, and get them to the very lowest of the food chain.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Our dear listener, thank you for being part of us from the time we started until now. I hope you're still enjoying this conference. Allow me to take a very short break, and I'm coming back in a bit. I pray that you don't have to go away, because a lot is still coming your way about women engineering and their great contributions in innovation and service delivery.
This is Ground Zero Season 2. Stay tuned. We shall be right back.
At UBC Radio, all our radio network across the country is committed to inform, entertain, educate and guide for national transformation.
Our own radio, UBC, should set its own example. Leka bano abatafa ku bantu baffe bagumaza ndowooza muganda kito kugumaza to divert people. Let our own UBC bring programs to educate the people so that abagala kugumaza babeereyo bagumaza naye naffe they can advise, guide. And people in time will judge the one who is their friend and who is just using them.
Tune into UBC radios for credible socio-economic programs. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Welcome back. Ground Zero Season 2 continues.
Welcome back from that very short break. We are still having our online conference about women in engineering, looking at our very interesting topic, engineering, innovation and service delivery. We are having our much focus on women in engineering as we prepare to celebrate International Women's Day on 8th March. Please enjoy.
Thank you very much, Martha. Just ask Dr. Robina, in 1 minute, what would you advise a girl who is out there, who is in their secondary school, maybe senior 1, senior 2, who is wishing to pursue a course in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and specifically one who wants to do engineering to brace themselves for in the upcoming future?
Thank you very much, both. What would I advise the girls out there?
Yes.
Likely in secondary school or even below, who wish to pursue courses in STEM.
Yes.
STEM is basically science, technology, engineering, and math-related professions. But maybe here we could focus a little bit more on engineering. What would I advise them to brace themselves for? Sorry, let me put my video. I think I would start by telling them that the profession in engineering or STEM is a rewarding profession, but it's a profession that calls for creativity, innovativeness, design capabilities, and using technologies, as well as technical and analytical expertise. And then on the other hand, I would advise them that when you're working as a profession, then you need to appreciate that you need to work together with others in teams, in a variety of settings, and also working across disciplinary and cultural borders. So in view of that, I would tell them you need to be hardworking, you need to be committed, you need to persist, and also work passionately on the various assignments that more or less you will be given. And the challenges that you encounter in the profession, you shouldn't look at these challenges as an exit route, for you to exit and resign from the engineering profession, but instead use these challenges as opportunities to improve and even become much better. And I think one of the things I would also advise them on is the need to actually be open-minded. That whereas emphasis seems to be on science and mathematics as only routes to STEM and engineering career, yes, they may be necessary, but they in themselves are not sufficient. As I said earlier, we need these students to know that in this profession, there is need for curiosity, there is need for excitement when we are designing new tools, when we are designing technologies, when we are developing materials, robots, etc., and etc., for them to appreciate how science and mathematics come in, and that these are fun and easy to actually work with. And then finally, I would also ask them to be open to the need for mentorship. Because in the recent past, we actually realized that people need to be mentored, you know, because when you're mentored, then you're encouraged to even face the challenges that may come up. So contacts with industry sparks interest, strengthens self-identity with engineering. But also we know that when you are mentored by great models, because with great models come those great engineers, which great engineers are associated with different life stories, depending on where they are coming from, you know, and they are diverse, working in all kinds of sectors. So at the end of the day, you realize that when someone is mentored, then they are able to learn from the mistakes of others. They are able to work towards improving self. They are able to actually more enlightened on what is expected of them. And I think this can help very much with encouraging new faces into engineering. That's what I would actually say, yes. So thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor, for that highlight. Sir, Martha, you're in the innovation sector. And we know that the girls who want to join STEM, most of them would like support. Dr. Robin has talked about mentorship. How do you think we can support the girls? How do you think we can hold the hands of those who are interested in these courses, in the STEM courses, so that they can embrace innovation and artificial intelligence, things like that?
Yeah, thanks very much.
In just a minute.
Yes, in 1 minute. The very first one, Dr. Robin has clearly stated mentorship from great engineers. 2, education again, I'll insist on this, the bottom-up approach from primary schools, identifying what are they interested in and how can we support them from a young age, even with parents at home, doing the best we can, being involved and presenting some challenges to them and, studying how we can support that. Science fairs is another way. Young minds are quite exploratory, and as organizers are, organizing such fairs, it would be important to, look at these innovations and perhaps offer extra support long term. In a kind of a reward system. We thank the government that extra 1.5, I believe, has gone away in bringing more girls into the engineering world. But that kind of reward system, even at a lower level, as a parent, as a teacher, what are you doing when you notice that this young mind is very innovative and it's not sitting back and waiting for you to take the lead? My 1 minute is up, above.
I give you 1 more minute to finish.
No, it's okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. And next you have, I know you can talk. You have to, let me give you 2 minutes to summarize for us what you think. We know, we have engineers who are entrepreneurs. And as engineers, entrepreneurs, there is a lot that we need to learn. What do you think that the engineers can learn from the tech sector when it comes to managing their own businesses, the business risks, and most importantly, those risks which are attributed to society because of technological innovations, which we are trying to use in our businesses? In 2 minutes, and
thanks, both. With your 2 minutes. Okay, thank you. What I can say the young engineers can learn, there is a lot from the tech sector. As engineers, of course, we have problems, all of us. So we should actually see, like I highlighted, the threats which are being created by the exposure to the digital world. We need to become innovative enough to see the pain points of our people and see how do we come up with projects that can help our people use digital in a safe way, be able to enjoy this digital world. And also, I think the engineers, for them to benefit as engineers themselves, as engineers as we are, we must develop skills and confidence to be able to manage risks and opportunities. Because as we do business, we need to be prepared. What are the risks? What are the opportunities? So we need to do self-assessment of the environment and be able to benefit from it, because you must know where you are going and so we should be visionary, be able to move at the same speed as technology and remain relevant and be able to do business in this digital world. But we also need to come up with community-driven innovations. Like I said, and what Masa said, needs assessment is very critical. We need to know what exactly our people want and be able to address exactly that and their concerns, especially that's what I started with, to see what are the pain points, how can we deal with these risks and threats being imposed on us by digital innovations. That's what I can say in my 2 minutes. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Rubina, you're going to take our very last question, and I'll ask as ladies and engineers, the gentlemen who missed some of these opportunities, because apparently you said Makere is driving into a research-based institution. Unlike in the past where we used to do more of the theories and less of the practicals and the research and innovations. What would you tell them so that they can stay competitive with the current generation, so that we don't feel outdated, for lack of a better word, within the industry?
Okay, thank you very much, both. Yeah. What would I tell an engineer who missed these opportunities while they were at school, so that they can remain competitive with the current generation and they don't feel outdated? I think first and foremost, I would tell them that learning never stops. Even me personally, I'm still learning, and I don't only learn from colleagues, but I also learn from my own students. So I would first and foremost tell them, you need to learn. The learning doesn't stop. You can learn from the current generation, and I think you have what it takes to learn, provided you're with a good attitude, a teachable spirit. You can learn from the young ones. And then secondly, I would encourage them, where there are opportunities for continuous professional development programs, I would encourage them to participate in these, because then this gives us an opportunity not only to learn, but to unlearn some of the things we knew 20 or so years ago, and then relearn. Then I would also encourage them, where again there are opportunities for short education programs, which directly reflect the realities of the modern world of work, so that they get equipped with the skills that enable them to achieve greater agency, autonomy, but also understanding in relationship to their learning personal and professional objectives, that contextualized learning. So in conclusion, I would encourage them, it's now high time for you to change your attitude, to have what we call reverse mentoring. Engineer Dr. Sarah has corrected me on this one, where you're now going to have to learn from the young generation and not the other way around. And that calls for humility, a lot of humility, by the way. And also to try and participate in these continuous professional development programs. I'll give an example. In Makere, one of the requirements for promotion is to show what are those continuous professional development programs you have engaged in previously, let's say in the recent 2 to 3 years. And when that table is empty, then that tends to speak volumes to the appointment authority. So I think learning will only stop when the Lord calls us home. But I think until that happens, we have what it takes to continue learning. So I think that's what I would share with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Members, you've heard for yourselves, we need to learn and unlearn some of the things we have learned, so that we can keep up with the pace. And most importantly, it's all about attitude. Right now, I know we are getting towards the end of our program, but I'm opening up for questions. If you have any question, maybe something you want to clarify on which the panelists have talked about, please feel free to. You can either type in the chat or you can just raise up your hands and I'll see you.
Both?
Yes, please.
I had a question from one of the participants. Okay, well, she made it a direct message, but maybe let me read it out for the benefit of our listeners. Her question is, how do we support women in STEM who are already discouraged because of failures in their innovation trials? Now, I must say that in our journeys as professionals, there are valleys and then there are mountains. It cannot be a straight path all through. So I want to say that when failure comes, it doesn't mean that that's the end of the road. And if these ladies or the gentlemen have failed and they are with mentors, I would expect the mentors to be speaking continuous positive encouragement to these engineers, right? Yes. And I normally tell my students that when you fail, it's very good for you to fail early. Yes. It's very good for you to fail early, because when you fail early, then you can easily learn from this failing experience and appreciate what exactly it is that you did not do right, or what it is that possibly could have improved to actually get there. So I think as engineers, I think the idea is not to fail and then we give up. No, the idea is that when you fail, stand up, learn from the experience, and then say, what is it then that I need to do so that I can move ahead? And I say that's where the role of mentors comes in, because these mentors are meant to hold you, one on the left, one on the right, and tell you continuously, you can do this, you can do this. And I think I don't know whether it was Martha who mentioned, yes, that capacity to believe in oneself and have that self-esteem and know that, many people have done this. So I think I can also do this, and when you look at how far you have come, then I don't think that it's now the season for you to say, now I have given up. Now I am quitting, Yes. Yeah, I don't think that should be the attitude. The attitude should be one of, I believe in myself, I think I can do this, and I am not the first to fail, neither am I going to be the last to fail. And then you stand on your feet and keep moving. Many success stories emanate from people who have failed, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but what we call having grit, that resilience and refusing to give up when one is encountered with a failure experience. Yeah, so that's how I would answer that question.
Okay, someone is asking, there are any tips on getting mentors in this profession? Annette is a member of the IPE Kampala branch, and I think she can ably answer this. And because IPE Kampala branch is running a mentorship program. Engineer Annette, could you please respond to that? And tips on getting a mentor?
Yeah, thanks, boss. Yes, how to get a mentor? As Kampala branch, we have been asking people to reach out to us and be matched. So you just need probably you will, if you're on the group, you can I can say that the communications have been coming on you should have seen one, or if you have not seen one, but you can reach out to us. And then our number is there on the group, and then we shall be able to see your mentorship needs and see who can be your mentor. Look out for someone. But mentors are there, and we do appreciate all those people who are offered to mentor some professions, some young professions, professionals. So you can reach out and you'll be helped. Thank you, Esther.
Okay. Someone is asking that Dr. Robina is talking about CPDs, but we find them a bit expensive, especially for the young engineers. If you have self-funding, he's asking, is there a way of reduced cost, especially for the CPDs, to enable the young engineers to submit? Is there a request, Dr. Sarah?
Hello.
Yes, are you able to respond on that?
Yes, I can respond on that, and maybe I'll invite President to speak more on that issue. Yes, UIPE receives some support. We have partners in the industry. For example, we have Royal Academy of Engineers, which the WET committee is working with. And the Royal Academy has supported us in a number of CPDs. And here we have, it has, let me say, sponsored some members to attend CPDs. But most times what happens, like for the ladies, most times when we call out for ladies to participate, very few come up, could be like 1 or 2. And yet we are saying that these CPDs sometimes are free. For them, no costs will be met. The costs are going to be met by the sponsor. So that is one of the challenges that we are having. Although some CPDs have been highly subsidized. So I invite President to speak more on this issue. Thank you.
Yes, Sir President, are you online?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay.
Will you give me another opportunity to speak, or I speak what I wanted to speak in this forum?
I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak. That's why I had reserved that question.
Yeah, allow me to speak only at that point. I have taken note of the issue, though. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions? Do we have any other questions from any of the participants on any general issues or something? If not, I just want to recognize that there is a question someone is asking me that it's more personal, though I think maybe someone else would want to know. Who is Aboth Yakoba? My name is Aboth Yakoba. I'm a civil engineer. I specialize in water sanitation and hygiene. I work with National Water and Sewerage Corporation as a senior engineer, but also with the Uganda Institution of Professional Engineers. I serve on the WET committee as a committee member, but I also represent Uganda in the UIPE and the women in the Federation of Africa Engineering Organization, in the Committee for Women in Engineering. Basically, that is both. But I also love engineering and I love ladies. I'm a mother and a daughter, a wife as well, plus a sister to so many. So thank you very much. That is both, if you don't know me. Maybe just as if we have no more questions that is coming in, I would like to take this opportunity to invite the president to give us his remarks. And maybe he will hint on the answer to the questions that Dr. Sarah invited him to top up on her answers so that we can. And then he will also take the lead opportunity, the singular opportunity to close this webinar. Thank you.
I'm grateful that you granted me the opportunity to speak to the ladies on the call. I also see some gentlemen who joined in on the call. I also recognize your presence. I'm glad that you have chosen the theme for this discussion, which is closely aligned to the World Engineering Day about innovations. And I picked interest in one question. Of course, there are other things you discussed. How do you support women in STEM who are already discouraged in their innovation journeys? And I think Dr. Engineer Florence Kiimba summarized the answer very well if you check in the chat. I think along the journey, not only innovations, but in life generally, you always fall down somehow. What is important is, are you able to pick yourself up and continue moving? So that is really the answer. But sometimes picking up yourself may not be easy unless you have people you have seen picking themselves up. So that's where the aspect of mentors and role models, which Dr. Engineer Kuravako has also spoken elaborated about. But I would like to pinpoint about 3 issues. Number 1 is that as Uganda institutional professional engineers, we recognize the times we are in, that engineering innovation is the backbone sort of some of the major problems we are currently facing. And I will show you how. Apart from the digital aspects you've been talking about, there are also other challenging society problems. For example, yesterday, I attended a stakeholders meeting organized by Ministry of Works and Transport about the parish development model, where you know, of course, that women are very active participants. And the concept of parish development is that government is not going to send in more resources. Government is simply saying, align your programs, speak to the strategy of parish development model. What does it mean? Therefore, it means that to deliver more with less, the principal actors at the front line will have to embrace innovation. And you are talking about infrastructure, you are talking about agriculture value addition, which basically depend on engineering. What that means is that we need more participation, not just from fresh engineers or young engineers. We need innovations to be embraced by all across the generation divide. And as you may have been already aware, the Science, Technology and Innovation Secretariat under Office of the President has a one-stop center for innovation. And the approach is that it does not matter in which language your innovation is. What is important is that, do you have an idea to develop into a solution that can solve a society problem? So they have resource personnel, and ultimately they want to tap into the innovative capacity of people across the country. So what we need to do is to make sure that there is awareness creation. But as Uganda institutional professional engineers, we have a segment of the population we are interested in, and those are the engineers, and more specifically, those who fall within our membership. So we have now, 2 weeks ago, I launched the innovation platform, and we're inviting innovators to subscribe to this platform. And what two mechanisms, including mentorship arrangements for innovators. Anybody can be an innovator, including yourself. And I encourage you to subscribe this innovation platform. And we also help to give you the backing, the institutional backing, especially when you have now to engage with other stakeholders, like the STI Secretariat. As you know, if you want to front an idea, it is very important who is behind you. So this institutional backing is very important, and we have a team which is mobilizing these innovations. I think we have over 10 subscribers currently, and I want to encourage as many of you as possible to develop. The desk officer for this at the Secretariat is Julius Caesar Chintu, the Professional Development Manager, and they even have a WhatsApp group which you can subscribe to. The recent awardees under the Royal Academy of Engineering, many of the 5 students who had very brilliant ideas, they require mentors, and we are soliciting from seasoned experts in their respective fields to provide this service to them. Now, that is also one of the advantages which we bring to the partnership table as an institution. Okay, apart from giving you the institutional backing. And also, it is important to note that there are very many stakeholders who have funds to support innovations. Last week, I met a group from NSSF. Forget about their current problems. Focus on the positive side. They have a program called the High Innovator Program. And we have discussions with them on how we can work together through our innovation platform. When we were invited by Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation last year, we noted that in their forum at Kororo, they also had a segment for venture capitalists. People who have funds, but they are looking for productive ideas to invest in. So this is why we felt that we are aware that engineers are very good innovators. That's why we felt that as an institution, one of the roles we should invest in is mobilizing and networking our engineers, our members who are involved or who are very active in the innovation space, so that we can help give them confidence to bring up their ideas and also give them the confidence and the backing to engage with strategic stakeholders. So I would like to invite you to be very good ambassadors of this movement called the UIP Innovation Medium Term, but high quality innovations. And you'll be very amazed. So this is a call to you that beyond this space, let's engage, let's get our hands on the task, and we create a very big societal impact using the several ideas we have, but maybe we have been lacking the confidence to try them out. So UIP Innovation Platform gives you that room in a closed space where you can explain your idea to people who understand you before you go live in a public environment. The other last point, last year I attended the Housing Baraza hosted by the NBS. And one of the challenges today is that we have a housing gap, a housing deficit, affordable housing deficit of 2 million houses. And this keeps growing at an average of 200,000 houses per annum. And you'll be very surprised who is very active in looking for innovative solutions for affordable housing. The people who are there presenting solutions for affordable housing, they are non-engineers. So this is a challenge. You know, when you go out and see what other people are doing, you get inspired that yes, you have actually the capacity, you are the real people. So how can we organize ourselves into a strong network that inspires, one, the students to make sure they do projects which speak to the innovation agenda, two, practitioners who have good ideas but have been lacking the confidence to bring them to life. How can we create a forum that inspires them to come out? This is the whole concept we are promoting through Uganda Association of Professional Engineers. So I'd like to invite you to be part of this. And I therefore take this opportunity to wish you very successful celebrations through the agenda of the World Engineers Day. I thank you very much for inviting me to your forum and giving me the opportunity to speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Engineer Andrew Makwezi. I want to thank all the members for having spared your time to come and join us in this webinar. And I also want to give special thanks to UBC Radio. They have been with us. And in case you missed the beginning, you can check live on UBC on their Twitter page and YouTube page to find the recordings, you find the proceedings live on there. I thank specifically Alan, who has been moving with us through this journey.
I must thank you for being part of us from the time we started this broadcast, those who are on radio and those who are online. I want to thank my co-host, both Yakoba, for the good work well done. And I want to thank all our panelists, Engineer Dr. Robina Kulabako, Engineer Annette Nsimire, and of course Martha Mulerwa, and also the President of Uganda Institute of Professional Engineers, Andrew Muhezi, and many others that contributed in this conference. And for those who were sending in your messages online, the time did not allow us to read all your messages, but I believe that you have gained something during our discussion and conference looking at women in engineering, and our topic was engineering, innovation, and service delivery. Until next time, same stations, same program, different topic and different guests. Ampere Amonoptega is my name. For God and my country, allow me to sign out.
Tune in to Ground Zero on UBC Radio. We discuss politics.
The money we collect as taxes in the country, we lose it in corruption.
Economics.
The 4 economic sectors where there are jobs and wealth are commercial agriculture, industries, services, and ICT.
Education.
The classes which will